What is up, creators? This is Tom. Welcome back to another video. I hope you are all doing well. So I got an interesting comment the other day on a YouTube community post that I posted that I was finally thinking of selling my Canon 90D. Now the comment that I got was from Dan Denelan. Dan, I really apologize if I've just totally butchered your name there. He said, will you do a final last review of the Canon 90D? Curious to know your final thoughts on it before trading it in. Now this is a super good point because I actually haven't done, I thought about all of the videos that I've done on the Canon 90D, this camera right here that I've now been using for about 3 to 4 months. So I've had quite a lot of experience with it, and I've never actually done a sort of thorough recap over my thoughts on this camera about whether it's a viable option in 2020, whether you should look at investing your money in this camera. So that's what we're going to do today. Before I do sell the 90D, I'm probably going to trade it in and pick up the Canon M50 to do some videos on that, as I'm quite curious now that I'm shooting on the Canon EOS R, just to see what the sort of like totally upper end of the spectrum of, you know, cheap mirrorless cameras from Canon are. So quite interested on that, but we're talking about the 90D today. So I want to share my thoughts and feelings on the camera, who I think it's for, why you should even care about this camera in the first place, and basically just my thoughts from using the camera for the last 3 to 4 months. Kind of a long-term review. I want to get this out here first. This is not going to be a technical recap. This is going to be a real-world experience, just me talking about my thoughts from the camera. Of course, I'll throw up samples and things like that throughout the video. And first, we're talking mirrorless versus DSLR. So the reason we're talking about the mirrorless systems versus DSLR systems, so I'm shooting this video right now on an EOS R, and that was a camera that I bought subsequently to the 90D, and it's sort of like replaced the 90D for me for my original purpose for this camera. Now, I was really curious to shoot on a DSLR because I haven't shot on a sort of like semi-professional grade DSLR before. I previously had a Nikon D3200, that was the oldest DSLR that I had, and that was such a long time ago, and previously, or after that, I've been on Sony mirrorless cameras. So the A6500, as you guys know, the A7 III, I've shot a bunch with that camera, and I basically wanted to try a DSLR like this camera right here, and it has a load of advantages that come with it being a DSLR system, but personally it actually has a lot of disadvantages. Now, I'm sure there are photography purists and even video purists out there that just absolutely love DSLR systems. Now, I have not thoroughly enjoyed shooting on DSLR for the past sort of 3 to 4 months. Like, it's been cool to have it there as an option, but overall, if this was my only camera, I would have got frustrated with it. I had a couple of professional jobs where I was doing sort of overhead rigs, photography work where I'm not behind the camera like this, and unfortunately, the problem with that is that because of the mirror and the sort of live view switch, I don't want to be flicking between live view mode all the time to be able to just get a normal shot. The viewfinder on a DSLR is so central to the photography experience. Like, it's a very tactile experience. If you're doing studio shooting or model shooting, DSLR is a really great option. Unfortunately for me, I do a really broad scope of photography and video work, and personally, this just didn't really fit my workflow. Now that I've shot with mirrorless cameras for so many years, I've got used to the articulating screens, the live view just always there on the back, not having to switch it on and off for having that as a view. So yeah, just be aware, if you are thinking about picking up this camera, make sure you've either shot with a DSLR before or you know what to expect from a DSLR camera. But after that, we're going on to an extreme positive, and I want to talk about the video performance in the 90D. So, video performance. This is something that has thoroughly impressed me with this camera. This camera actually shoots a far better range of frame rate options than the EOS R that I'm shooting with right now. This has 120 frames a second in 1080p. It has fantastic 4K video. It has an articulating screen, which I think is just an amazing addition for a little DSLR like this. From a video perspective, this could be a fairly decent low-level production camera. What I mean by that is if you're just starting out in video, if you're wanting to get into professional video, you can actually run a tiny little production company using just this camera. You can do stills, you can do high quality video, whack this camera on a gimbal, and you're basically set to start producing high quality content. This is an absolutely perfect video camera for a YouTube channel. If I didn't have the EOS R, like that I'm actually filming on right now, I would still be using this camera for my YouTube videos over the Blackmagic Pocket Cinema camera that is sat on top of my shelf right now. Like, this is a very convenient, high quality video camera. And again, if you're wanting to do any of the things which I just mentioned, this is a fantastic camera to do that. You've got all-in-one capabilities, photo, video built into the system, whack an affordable lens like the Canon 50mm f1.8 that I've got on right now. And again, you know, for under $1,000, you've just got a fantastic camera system that is going to be extremely capable for both amateur and professional work. So, photo performance. I have used the 90D for a few professional jobs, not an absolute ton, but I have really enjoyed shooting with the camera when I can get behind it. What I was talking about versus mirrorless to DSLR systems, like when you can get behind and really think about your shot, this is a fantastic little camera. This is an APS-C camera, so it has a crop sensor, but that doesn't really matter. Like, you still get fantastic JPEGs and RAW files out of this camera. It shoots at 32 megapixels, which I believe is still Canon's highest APS-C megapixel sensor. So like, the stills you do get out of the camera, really fantastic. If you're looking to do just photos, it is still a really good choice in terms of a stills camera that can also shoot fantastic video. All right, so now who do I think the camera is for? Now, that's kind of quite multifaceted. So as I've already mentioned, I think for online creators, if you can sort of, maybe it's your first YouTube camera, if you can afford to stretch to the amount for this camera, my opinion might change maybe after playing around with the Canon M50, but if you can afford to stretch to this budget, this is a really fantastic camera for YouTube content, online content creation, or like I mentioned, that sort of space if maybe someone's wanting to get into professional video or professional photography for the first time. Certainly it is not a professional grade camera. That is actually the reason why I ended up upgrading to the EOS R. I couldn't run my sort of photography and video business using just this camera because I've sort of gone up in terms of a level. Like, I use a cinema camera now, and I use the EOS R as a B camera for that production company, and unfortunately the Canon 90D just didn't cut it in terms of image quality. But it is a fantastic choice. Like, if you're an amateur looking to maybe just invest in a nice camera system that takes great photos and really good video for you know, just a Canon DSLR, this is a fantastic choice to do that with. If you're a online creator who wants to just sort of level up your content creation, a great choice to do that with. I don't think this is a camera for photography purists particularly. I think there's too much focus on video, on great video, and I think there's probably better photography options if you're looking at other choices. But yes, as I say, I do think this is a fantastic buy. You can pick up the camera now for under $1,000, so it is a really, really good choice for anyone looking to take content creation a little bit more seriously. There we go, Dan. Hopefully that has answered your question. If any of you guys have any thoughts about the Canon 90D, I know that the sort of camera has got quite popular on my channel here because I've produced quite a lot of content for it. If you do have any questions, drop them in the comments section. I'll be answering down there as always. And hey, the only reason that I'm looking to upgrade this is to produce more content on some other Canon cameras because I'm just thoroughly enjoying shooting Canon right now. Hopefully you have enjoyed, and I'll catch you guys next time.